and welcome back for chapter 26. In the last chapter, we talked about erasure. And I'm not talking about the 80s pop synth band from London. That's another podcast. I'm talking about the government trying to feed history into the incinerator like it's a bad Yelp review. Erasure, we can all agree, is bad. But erasure is not the real end game of the Trump regime. The end game is replacement. The moment power doesn't just remove what happened, but installs a new version of reality and dares you to argue with it. That is the moment we are in right now. Because fascism isn't just a shredder, it's a Photoshop subscription that won't stop automatic billing. Hey, I'm Lloyd Dobler, and this is the Tao of Lloyd, one chapter of Lao Tzu, one collapsing empire, and one Molotov cocktail thrown at the Overton window. Repeat as needed. Here's what replacement looks like in real time. You remove a rainbow flag from Stonewall and you replace it with neutrality. You remove panels naming enslaved people and you replace them with heritage. You send a White House directive to every museum in America and you replace the entire complicated, painful, true story of this country with something for the whole family, a unifying narrative. And unifying narrative is just news speak for a story that makes power comfortable. Because replacement isn't random. Replacement has a brand, and that brand wants to be clean, smooth, patriotic, uncomplicated. History with the wrinkles ironed out, like America as a Pixar dad who learned a valuable lesson and is now proud of himself. A story where the father of the country is he's just the father of the country, full stop. No footnotes. No Oni judge. No people forced to build the house he lived in, enslaved. Just the portrait of Dad. Just the monument, just the myth, freshly replastered and open for gift shop hours Tuesday through Sunday. That's the replace, and it's scarier than the erase. And here's the part that makes me want to light my meditation cushion on fire. Replacement works because it hijacks something human in us. We want the story to be simple. We want to believe the country is basically good and just needs a few minor updates, like the US of A is an IKEA shelf that just needs one more Allen wrench turn, and not, say, a complete and structural rethink of every load-bearing fucking wall in the joint. It's installing the hard truth and reinstalling the factory settings of myth mode. And myth mode is a hell of a drug. Because once the replacement is installed, your brain does the rest. You start self-editing. You start saying, maybe it wasn't that big of a deal. You start thinking, maybe we should focus on unity. You start treating truth like it's a social faux pas, something you politely don't bring up at dinner. Instead of talking about the genocide in Gaza, you find yourself buying a timeshare in Gaza. That's how it spreads. Not through force first, through good manners, through tone, through don't be so intense, through the American religion of let's not make anyone uncomfortable. Because replacement, it doesn't just happen in the Smithsonian. It happens in you. It happens in me. In the little flinch where something in the mind says, let's go back to something easier. But the lie needs the truth to push against it. The replacement needs the original to replace, which means they can't actually erase anything. They can only bury it. And buried things have a way of coming back up. So here's the question I want to plant before we settle in for the meditation. What are you carrying that someone told you was divisive? And what would happen if you refuse to put it down? All right, let's settle in for a brief little meditation and a reading from chapter 26 of the Tao Te Ching. Because if the government is going to gaslight an entire nation, then meditation isn't a luxury wellness product. It's how you keep your mind from being renamed by someone else. But take one breath through the nose. And on the exhale, notice this. When you feel anxious, your mind wants to replace the truth with something lighter, something shiny, something unifying. When your mind, like mine, starts refreshing the news to see if it got worse since you started meditating. Spoiler alert, it did. It always does. And now there are 3 new headlines, a deleted tweet, and the Mongolian cashmere sweater Instagram has been trying to sell you just went on sale. When that happens, tell your mind the headlines will still be there, the tweet will still be deleted, the sweater will still be on sale. So, just for this moment, don't replace anything. Don't fix it. Don't smooth it. Don't reframe it. Just feel the weight of what's real. And this is chapter 26 of the Tao Te Ching. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. You can open your eyes. The heavy is the root of the light. The Trump regime is light, and I mean that in the Taoist sense, not lightweight, though also that, but untethered, restless, constantly moving, redecorating, renaming, reframing, flitting about like a fool, as Lao Tzu would say. If Lao Tzu had ever watched a cabinet secretary scream about stock market numbers to avoid answering questions about dead girls and the names of the redacted who should rot in jail and take the whole fucking system down. The regime can't stay still because stillness is where truth lives. Stillness is where you notice the spackle on the wall. Stillness is where a kid asks, "What used to be on that wall?" So they keep moving. New directive, new exhibit review, new flag taken down, new version of the founding myth installed before anyone has time to process the last removal. The movement is the mechanism. The restlessness is the point. Keep people reactive and they can't be rooted. Keep the story moving and no one can fact check the last frame. But here's what the Tao knows that the regime doesn't. You cannot replace the root. You can replace the panels on the wall. You can replace the flag at Stonewall. You can replace every placard in every Smithsonian museum with a laminated card that says unifying narrative in 14-point gold-plated Helvetica. But the heavy thing, the actual history, the bones, the truth that the replacement was built on top of, that doesn't go anywhere. It just waits. Heavy things are patient. The master travels all day without leaving home. She stays serenely in herself. She doesn't flit. She doesn't redecorate. And she doesn't need the gift shop to tell her who she is. And that's the practice right now, not just for individuals, but for anyone who is trying to hold on to what's real while the official story keeps getting repainted around them. Stay rooted. Not rigid, not nostalgic, not clinging to your own version of a golden past, because that's just a different kind of replacement, rooted, which means know the heavy thing, know the actual history, the inconvenient parts, the bones in the walls, carry it. Don't put it down just because someone in a position of authority told you it was divisive. The heavy thing is the root. And the root is what they cannot reach. And I'll see you next time for part 3. Repeat. And until then, notice when, just to be polite, You share a lighter version of any story. Notice the weight of what you left out, then carry it anyway. From the edge of the empire and the center of the self, this is the Tao of Lloyd.